So this is my main floor, and then all the other large pieces are back here. The main floor is the only one that is held together with wood and screws and a cabinet angle. This is like a 90-degree cabinet angle. But I did that so I could just have more versatility and movement with it. And this has been really sturdy. But yeah, so I'm gonna be putting this in, and then we'll be fitting the subfloor today. Hey guys, in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you my template system and how to prep your subfloor for final vinyl mat installation. So let's take a look at the templates, and then we're gonna move my insulation boards inside to trace them. This little system was cardboard and duct tape for back in my battery area. And then the insulation boards are just back there. And then those little corner pockets, I have paper templates that I pressed into the grooves and cut out. And then I'm gonna put that on the insulation and use the insulation as the template for the wood. So yeah, let's remove insulation. I've had this insulation installed for the last year. It was one of the first things I did. And my floor has remained unfinished for a year. So there is wood, and there's also metal cabinet angles where it meets. So I don't want to drill there. So I'm going to be marking that, but let's go trace out the insulation onto my floor. And now it is on top of a large panel of wood. I think it was like a 4x8, and roughly my van was like 8x16 are the dimensions. So I'm gonna trace out those squares onto there, and then I'm gonna be cutting it out with a jigsaw. All right, so we're in the garage. I have my subfloor wood, and I have it clamped with these little clampies down to some long boards, and the long boards have little blocks so they're not going to roll around. And I'm going to be using the Ryobi jigsaw to cut through the marks that I made. Woo! Let's do it. Alright, so I just finished cutting out my main floor piece. I cut it out using this Ryobi jigsaw that I got on Marketplace for like 30 bucks, but they were like 80 at Home Depot, but that worked really great. The plywood that I chose has some little like chipping and things coming out, so I used this sander by Hypertough to buff out the corners and edges, make sure there's nothing sharp for the vinyl to catch on. And I was just getting ready to paint this piece with some waterproofing wood finish. Transparent waterproofing wood finish. Resists UV and water damage, mildew resistant finish, Deck Plus. This is for like outdoor deck use. I'm using it to paint my subfloor to keep it water resistant because I'm planning on being in a high humidity area. So this is my subfloor, and all the other pieces are kind of out here drying. I just sanded them and wiped them down with a damp rag to make sure there's no dust, so that when I glue it down there's nothing in the way, no like dust in the way. So yeah, I just have all of my pieces of my subfloor over here. I need to cut out just a few more tiny pieces, which I'm gonna wait until I do the first fitting with the main pieces. And then I'm gonna match the subfloor pieces up with their corresponding insulation blocks. So this is my main floor, and then all the other large pieces are back here. The main floor is the only one that is held together with wood and screws and a cabinet angle. What's up, guys? So I'm ready to put in my frame of insulation for my main floor. I just put down PL 300 and liquid nails on the metal floor. And so I'm ready to install my frame now. A couple of things with my frame of insulation. I'm glad I went this way so that I could take it in and out. But I will say, so like where there's tape, that's the vapor barrier for where the wood is. So definitely mark where your wood is so you know where your support is. And also when you cut up your insulation to fit it into like squares like this, it loses some of its qualities faster. But yeah, so yeah, here's what the beads look like. You only want to put, I only put the adhesive on the high points of the floor. And these rivets are for sound deadening, so I didn't feel the need to put any like sound deadener. I did paint the floor with primer, 2 coats of enamel, and then also a like a Flex Seal rubber thing. That's in a separate video, but I will say that was the most time-consuming part of the process, was prepping the metal floor for the subfloor. So yeah, the steps on. I'm gonna put the frame in. Okay, so I just glued down the foam boards and it's looking pretty good. Let me show you guys a couple areas I'm gonna work on. So I just have this piece of wood down so I don't compress any of the foam. But this is where all of the stuff meets. There's some wood here that's part of the frame. And everything else, like, I didn't really need to glue this down back here because there's no wood. And it fits pretty tightly into place. Like, there's a little bit of room along the edges, but everything fits in like a nice little puzzle. And then I just need to fill in some of this with either some spray foam or just cutting up some insulation and stuffing it. So yeah, I just need to fill in a couple of these little areas a little bit better. And then same back here, just gonna be stuffing some insulation, maybe spray foam. Yeah, I don't think any of this is going to be like squeaking at all. A lot of people are worried about that, but since everything's so tight, it's not really going to move or squeak around, and it's glued down, so it's not really moving. But yeah, that's what it looks like right now. So back here, I originally cut this piece not super accurately, so I had to just kind of like get creative and puzzle piece a couple parts in here, which is fine. They're kind of just stuffed in, which is fine. Same back here, everything's just kind of fitting nicely into place, and it's all glued down now. So main thing is you want to make sure everything's level, that it's not too tight, that it's like flexing and your floor is gonna like pop up. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue down my subfloor now. So the next step in my build is I'm gonna be using this PL 300 to glue my subfloor to my insulation boards. So I used the same PL 300 to glue the insulation to the metal floor, and then I also used liquid nails for that, so we'll see if that bonds to the metal. But I'm using PL 300 for my foam board. I'm being pretty generous with this stuff. You want to do like long globs. Alright, so this is what the beads of adhesive look like before putting down my subfloor. Kind of cool. This is what my floor looks like. I just put a bunch of weight on it and it sat overnight. I glued the floors down. I have like 2 more floor puzzle pieces that I need to fit in, but I'm gonna wait. I've been using this PL Premium and Gorilla Glue, wood glue, to seal down a couple more areas. I also decided to chop 2 holes in this platform so that I could get to these corners, because you can see the seam right here. So that corner was popping up, and back there was also popping up because I had to kind of puzzle piece. So this is what it looks like with the subfloor almost installed. I have just one more piece right here that I might adjust a little bit more. This is a really funky looking piece, and I definitely could have planned better for that, but it works. Pretty good. I'll have to seal this so no water gets onto the floor, but I'm gonna be sealing all of this anyway. Yeah, so I'm just gonna sand down the corners and then get to gluing. Alright, so I am finished with my subfloor. These are what the seams look like. It's nice and flat and it's clean now. Yeah, it looks like back here, little areas. Everything's all nicely sealed up. So for this, the first thing I used was the plastic wood for the bigger gaps. And then I let that dry down, sanded it, and then went over it with this silicone caulking. So most of the cracks are a mix of these two, and then for some of the other larger gaps, like in the back, I used this rubber beading. On the directions for this, it also recommends if you have gaps greater than 3/8 of an inch to use something like this or a foam backer rod. So these were bigger than 3/8 of an inch. Something to keep in mind, if you're going to be in high and low temperature fluctuations, you want to leave at least 1/4 inch in between your wood to allow it to kind of expand and contract if it needs to. Let me go show you guys the back. I also used the plastic wood filler and then the silicone around the seams, and I'm really happy with it. In the back, I used a lot of those rubber beads and then the silicone on top, and it stuck together really well. Yeah, all the seams are finished and complete. Everything looks really good. I'm happy with it. I just vacuumed and wiped everything down really well, make sure there's no dust or anything. And now I'm gonna bring in my flooring. Woohoo! Subfloor's done. The last thing I need to do is just kind of seal up the step with this stuff, but I'm gonna wait for that one.